Oops, oops, oops. That little moment, that tiny, silent second, when the people who laughed at you, the people who played with your heart, the people who thought you were soft, finally realized who the hell they were actually dealing with. And the beautiful part? By the time they saw it, it was already too late. Because people love to test souls they do not understand. They see kindness, and they mistake it for weakness. They see patience, and they mistake it for fear. They see silence, and they mistake it for surrender. That is how shallow people think. That is how broken minds operate. They cannot understand depth, so they attack it. They cannot understand peace, so they provoke it. They cannot understand genuine hearts, so they try to destroy them. And some people, they do not love people. They love control. Read that again in your spirit. Some people never wanted your love. They wanted your obedience. They never wanted your heart. They wanted access. They never wanted to protect your soul. They wanted to study it so they could learn exactly where to wound it. Because there are people in this world who smile in your face while secretly measuring how much pain you can survive. That is not love. That is psychological warfare. And the scariest people? They never come dressed like enemies, no. They come disguised as friends, lovers, family, supporters. They hug you while secretly checking where to place the knife. They compliment you while quietly competing with you. They comfort you while secretly hoping you never realize your own power. Because your awakening is dangerous to people who benefited from your confusion. Your pain made them comfortable. Your self-doubt made them powerful. Your silence made them feel safe. Because as long as you questioned yourself, you never questioned them. And that is how emotional manipulators survive. They survive by making you feel crazy for noticing what your soul already knows. They survive by hurting you gently enough that you blame yourself. They survive by twisting reality until your own intuition starts apologizing. That is what mind games are. It is not always screaming. It is not always violence. Sometimes manipulation is quiet. Sometimes manipulation sounds like you're too sensitive. You misunderstood. That never happened. You always overthink. You're imagining things. And little by little, they do not just try to break your heart. They try to break your trust in yourself. Because once a person can make you doubt your own mind, they can control your entire reality. That is the deepest kind of prison, not chains around your hands, chains around your perception. And some of you listening, you were never destroyed by what they did. You were destroyed by how long you kept trying to see good in people who were committed to becoming your lesson. That is what shattered you, not betrayal, but realizing you loved people who studied your love like a weakness. You gave loyalty, they gave strategy, you gave honesty, they gave performance, you gave your heart, they gave manipulation. And for a while, that broke something inside you. Because betrayal does not hurt because people lie. Betrayal hurts because your soul never thought they would. That is why it cuts so deep. That is why it changes people. Because there comes a moment when pain stops feeling like pain and starts becoming vision. And that is the moment everything changes. Because one day, you stop crying. Not because it stopped hurting, but because suddenly, you understood. You understood that every betrayal was revelation. Every heartbreak was exposure. Every abandonment was divine separation. Every lie was a mask slipping. And suddenly, the person they thought they were hurting began disappearing. And someone else emerged. someone colder, someone sharper, someone quieter, someone who no longer needs closure because discernment replaced denial. That version of you terrifies people, because people who manipulated you were never prepared for the version of you that finally sees clearly. See, and what destroys them even more is not that you left. It is how calmly you left. No screaming, no begging, no dramatic final words, just silence, just distance, just a version of you that finally understood some people only know your worth when they can no longer reach you. That kind of silence drives people insane. Because silence forces people to sit alone with the consequences of their own behavior. And most people cannot survive that. Most people can survive losing you. But they cannot survive understanding they were the reason. That is a different kind of pain. That is the pain of self-recognition. That is the pain of seeing your own reflection in the ruins you created. Because when someone spends too long trying to break another person, they never imagine they might be the one who ends up shattered. But that is what happens when a person mistakes gentleness for fragility. Because your softness was never weakness. It was restraint. Your patience was never submission. It was mercy. Your loyalty was never blindness. It was love. And there is nothing more dangerous than a good soul who finally learns the difference between love and manipulation. That is when the game changes. Because once you see clearly, you cannot unsee. Once your intuition wakes up, you cannot put it back to sleep. Once your spirit recognizes poison, it stops calling it a perfection. And once your soul finally chooses itself, people who benefited from your self-neglect begin to panic. Because now they cannot reach you the way they used to. Now your heart has a gate. Now your energy has discernment. Now your presence is no longer available to everyone who pretends they deserve it. And people feel that. Even when you say nothing, people feel that. They feel when your soul has stopped offering itself to people who only came to consume it. That energy changes everything. Because now when they look at you, they no longer see the person they manipulated. They see the person who survived them. And surviving someone who tried to mentally destroy you creates a different kind of presence, a different kind of stare, a different kind of silence, a different kind of strength. Because some strength is built in the gym, some strength is built in struggle. But the deepest strength is built when your heart gets broken and your soul decides to stay alive anyway. That kind of strength cannot be taught. It can only be earned, and you earned it through sleepless nights, through confusion, through betrayal, through heartbreak, through questioning yourself, through blaming yourself, through surviving things you never deserved. And now the same people who once thought you would collapse are watching you become someone they can no longer understand. That is what scares them. Because broken people understand sadness. They understand pain. They understand weakness. But they do not understand someone who turned pain into power. That is foreign to them. That is terrifying to them. Because your healing exposes their sickness. Your peace exposes their chaos. Your growth exposes their stagnation. And your detachment exposes how deeply they needed your energy to feel whole. That is why some people get angry when you heal. Because your healing reminds them they failed to destroy you. And some people cannot handle that. Some people would rather see you broken than see you powerful. They would rather see you crying than see you rising. They would rather see you chasing than see you walking away. Because your awakening forces them to confront themselves. And that is the one thing most people spend their entire lives avoiding: themselves. That is why your transformation feels personal to them. Because every time you choose yourself, you remind them of every moment they betrayed themselves. Every time you walk in peace, you remind them of the war inside their own chest. Every time you remain silent, you remind them that not every soul needs revenge to become unforgettable. Sometimes the greatest revenge is becoming unreachable. Sometimes the greatest revenge is becoming whole. And the coldest part? You do not even need to hate them anymore. That is when you know you have truly changed. Because hatred still carries attachment. Hatred still gives energy. Hatred still means they occupy space inside your spirit. But healing? Healing is different. Healing is when their name no longer shakes you. Their memory no longer controls you. Their absence no longer wounds you. And their presence no longer matters. That kind of detachment is terrifying. Because people expect pain. People expect anger. People expect tears. But they never expect to become irrelevant to the person they once had power over. That destroys egos. That breaks illusions. That crushes people who thought they would always live inside your mind. Because some people never loved you. They loved how much you cared. They loved how much access they had to your heart. They loved how easy it was to disturb your peace. They loved how deeply you tried to understand them, while they never once tried to understand you. And when that access disappears, they feel the loss of control more than the loss of you. That is why some people come back. Not because they changed, not because they grew, not because they finally understood your worth. Sometimes they come back because your absence exposed the emptiness inside them. Sometimes they return because nobody else could replace what your spirit carried. Sometimes they come back because they thought you would always wait. And nothing unsettles a person more than discovering you moved on without needing their apology. That hits harder than revenge ever could, because now they cannot rewrite the story. Now they cannot manipulate the ending. Now they cannot control the narrative. Now they are forced to live with the truth. And the truth is simple. They lost someone who would have loved them deeply, because they treated that love carelessly. That realization can break a person more than heartbreak. Because heartbreak says, I lost someone. But regret says, I destroyed something I may never find again. And regret is a slow poison. It does not scream. It whispers, late at night, in quiet rooms, in moments when distractions fade. It whispers, you had something real. You ruined it. You knew better. You still did it. That kind of truth follows people. That kind of truth does not leave. And while they are haunted by what they lost, you are becoming someone new, someone wiser, someone deeper, someone harder to fool, someone harder to reach, someone who now understands that not everyone who enters your life deserves access to your soul, because your heart was never meant to be a public place. Your energy was never meant to be free for everyone. Your kindness was never meant to be a weapon used against you. And your silence was never meant to be mistaken for weakness. No. Your silence was transformation. While they thought you were breaking, you were rebuilding. While they thought you were hurting, you were awakening. While they thought you were lost, you were finding yourself in the ruins they left behind. And sometimes the people who tried hardest to destroy you become the very reason you finally meet your strongest self. That is the irony. They thought they were your downfall. They became your introduction, because some souls do not wake up through comfort. Some souls wake up through betrayal. Some souls wake up through abandonment. Some souls wake up when pain finally says, enough. And when that awakening happens, you stop seeing people the same way. You stop listening to words. You start studying energy. You stop chasing explanations. You start trusting patterns. You stop begging for honesty. You start recognizing masks. That changes everything. Because once a person can read energy, manipulation stops working. Once a person can see intentions, performances lose power. Once a person can trust intuition, lies cannot survive. And that version of you, the one who sees through people, is the version they never prepared for. Because they only knew the old you, the forgiving you, the patient you. The wounded you, they never imagined the healed you. And the healed version of you is not cruel. It is not bitter. It is not cold. It is just awake. And an awakened soul is dangerous to anyone who depends on deception. Because once you wake up, you stop asking, why did they hurt me? And you start asking, why did I ignore what my soul kept trying to tell me? That question changes lives. Because the real awakening is not just seeing them. It is finally seeing yourself. Seeing where you abandoned yourself. Seeing where you tolerated less. Seeing where you begged for what should have been given freely. Seeing where your own heart stayed loyal to people who were never loyal to you. That truth hurts. But that truth sets people free. And freedom, real freedom, begins the moment you stop needing people to become honest about who they are. Because eventually, you understand. People always reveal themselves. Some reveal themselves through words. Others reveal themselves through patterns. Others reveal themselves through betrayal. But everybody reveals themselves. The question is, how long will you keep pretending you do not see it? And once you stop pretending, once you finally see, once you finally accept, you become untouchable. Because now nobody can manipulate what already understands. Nobody can confuse what already sees. Nobody can break what already survived. And that is when the entire game changes. Because now they are not looking at the same person anymore. Now they are looking at the person they accidentally created. And that person is not the one they should have played with. Because that version of you, the one born from betrayal, does not move the way the old you moved. The old you wanted answers. The new you recognizes patterns. The old you wanted honesty. The new you can feel deception before words are spoken. The old you kept giving chances. The new you understands that boundaries are not cruelty. They are survival. And that realization alone changes everything. Because the moment you stop seeing boundaries as guilt, you stop becoming easy to access. And once people cannot easily access you, they start realizing how much of your presence they took for granted. That is when their masks begin to slip. Because distance reveals people. Silence reveals people. Absence reveals people. When you stop reaching, you see who was only comfortable because you always did. When you stop explaining, you see who only loved the version of you that made life easier for them. When you stop bleeding for everyone else, you see who was only around to drink from your wounds. That truth is brutal, but it is necessary, because some lessons do not feel like wisdom when they arrive. They feel like heartbreak. They feel like grief. They feel like loss. But sometimes what feels like loss is really liberation. Sometimes what feels like rejection is really protection. Sometimes what feels like betrayal is the universe forcing your eyes open. And once they open, they never close the same. That is why your energy changed. That is why your presence changed. That is why people can feel something different when they stand near you. Now, because pain did not just hurt you, it educated you. And there is nothing more intimidating than a person who turns suffering into awareness. Because awareness cannot be manipulated. Awareness cannot be gaslit. Awareness cannot be emotionally controlled. Once a soul becomes aware, it stops begging for clarity from people who are committed to confusion. That is when you become dangerous. Not because you seek revenge, but because you no longer need anything from them. And people who survive by controlling others become deeply uncomfortable around someone who no longer needs them. That kind of freedom makes people nervous, because your freedom exposes their dependence. Your peace exposes their chaos. Your detachment exposes their obsession. And your healing exposes every lie they once told themselves about who you were. Because they told themselves you were weak. They told themselves you were naive. They told themselves you would never leave. They told themselves you would always come back. They told themselves you needed them. And then one day, you stopped. You stopped explaining. You stopped proving. You stopped chasing. You stopped shrinking. You stopped begging. You stopped reopening doors for people who kept walking in with dirty intentions. And that moment, that exact moment, is when everything began collapsing for them, because suddenly they could no longer reach the version of you they once controlled. And losing access to someone you thought would always be there creates a pain most people never know how to process. Because people rarely mourn what they respected. They mourn what they assumed they could always have. That is why your silence became louder than your words ever were. That is why your absence became heavier than your presence. That is why your peace became more unsettling than your pain ever was. Because they expected you to break. They expected you to beg. They expected you to collapse under the weight of what they did. Instead, you evolved. And nothing shakes people more than watching someone they wounded become stronger because of the wound. Because now they cannot tell themselves the old story anymore. Now they cannot say you were weak. Now they cannot say you were blind. Now they cannot say you were nothing. Because your growth became undeniable. And the hardest truth for some people is not losing you. It is realizing you became better without them. That kind of truth burns. Because ego can survive rejection. But ego struggles to survive replacement.